Hello everyone, I have a story for you today from the subreddit divorce. It has to do with a woman getting a scar removed from her face that reminded her of her marriage to her ex-husband. Spelling and grammar errors, courtesy of Reddit. Lol. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This story is titled, The Story of My Scar and How It Served as a Metaphor for My Marriage, Divorce and the Grief. Background, my ex left me for his affair partner. For me, it came out of nowhere. He kept telling me I was perfect, that our marriage was great until the day he left and told me he has been miserable for ages. He left me with the haunting words, "You are perfect in every way, but I deserve something more special." I have been grieving and growing. Part of my journey is realizing my marriage was not perfect and my husband has always been the selfish prick capable of exactly what he did to me. Last week I went to a plastic surgeon and had a scar on my face removed. It was not that bad and people barely noticed it, but because I have very beautiful and clear skin, for me it always bothered me. P.S. I am not rich. I am from a country with universal healthcare and these elective procedures are not that expensive. 4 years ago, I was brushing my horse and he spooked. He started pulling the rope he was tied with. A metal connector broke and smacked me in the face. It was bleeding really badly and a quick Google search told me facial wounds should always be stitched up. I was freaking out a bit. I was crying because I knew I would have a scar. I was shaking and I needed my husband to help me. However, without telling me anything, he was driving his old-timer classic car around, so I had no clue where he was. I called him to see where he was and if he could take me to the emergency room. He picked up the phone. The convo went like this. Me crying, "Babe, can you come home please? I had an accident with my horse, and I need to go to the emergency room." He, "Oh, for frick's sake. Are you kidding me? Now, you are doing this now. I take my car out and this happens." Me, angry as frick, "Get your ass home and take me to the emergency room, you incredible asshole." I hung up the phone. 15 minutes later I call him again to ask him why the hell it was taking him so long. He told me he was really far away but was coming home. He asked me what the problem was, but I was still so angry I just repeated, "Just come home, okay?" 45 minutes later he finally arrives. He laughed like it is all a joke. He takes one look at my face where the blood is all dried up now and goes, "Really? You need the emergency room for that?" I made him take me and told him, "What the frick? This is on my face. I need stitches." He takes me there and tells me how he raced home and almost got himself killed for me. In the hospital he took pictures of my wounded face and after it was stitched up, he posted them in his family WhatsApp group to make fun of his accident-prone wife, and how his fun Sunday ride was cut short. Ha ha, poor devoted husband. The days, months after it became his story. How I didn't tell him what I had. That he was freaking out believing I or the horse were dying in a ditch somewhere and he is racing home with no regard for his own safety to come and save me. Everybody laughed. Oh boy, Gusta's husband has it rough, ha ha. And I shut up, let him be the hero of the story, just chimed in a few times with, "Ha ha, yeah, but I was a bit in shock. I don't know why I did that. Maybe he made me believe I was in the wrong. I could indeed have told him it was just a cut." One day he was telling the story again. It was his extended family, I think. After he had bashed me for making him risk his life, I went, "Okay, now my side of the story." I thought it would be funny. That they would go, "Ha ha ha, typically men, ha ha ha," but they didn't. The smile faded from their faces and they looked disgusted at him. He got red in the face and changed the subject. It was the first time I realized his assholeness was not normal. I saw the shock of other people and it scared me. His reaction also showed me he knew how bad it was. In the passing years, when we had an argument, or I found him behaving selfish, I would feel that scar and it reminded me of what an absolute ass he could be. It made me sad. I would ask friends and family if his closeness to a coworker should worry me and they would tell me he would never cheat on me, not him. It was so obvious he loved me, and he would never hurt me. I wanted to believe them. My fingers would trace the scar and I would tell myself, but he has shown you how selfish he can be. Trust your gut. So, the day rolls by that he decided to replace me with his coworker. Breaking me in so many ways. The scar started to itch and hurt. I know it was all in my mind, but it went, "I told you he was an ass. You looked at the evidence in the mirror every day, why did you ignore it?" After it was all said and done, I was left with my scar and all the emotional scars he left me with. I knew I could just accept the scar and leave it. No date ever made an issue out of it. They often didn't even notice it, but I just couldn't stand it. So, this week I had corrective surgery. It looks worse now, with the stitches, but I know it will look way better in time. The scar will never be fully gone. Nor will the memory of what happened, but time will make it fade until I barely notice it. It reminded me very much of my marriage. I lived with a lot because I thought I was loved. But I wasn't. To deal with things in your past, you will have to go through some pain, open the wound up, cut the scar tissue and sew it back up. Only if you did the painful work, time can start doing its work as well. Stitches go out on Wednesday and from there on out it will only get better. Good healing to you, my dear divorcees. Comment 1. I'm stuck on the "you are perfect but he deserves something more" special part. If that doesn't say I'm full of myself, I don't know what does. The real takeaways are somewhere in the early warning signs prior to the clear self-outing as a self-centered asshole, if not a full-fledged narcissist. Comment 2. I am so sorry for your pain. But I am so glad that you have given yourself space for healing and being able to start a new life without a selfish partner. Your story is inspiring to me. I couldn't help but think about similar experiences when I got into a car accident and called him to come get me. I ended up sitting by myself on the side of the road with strangers because he was napping and his phone was off, then had the nerve to get mad at me for being upset. The time that I burned myself cooking and cried out in pain, but he didn't hear because he's playing video games. And he didn't feel like going out, so I drove myself to CVS to get burn medicine and gauze wraps and wrapped myself up. But now he's unfulfilled in our marriage and needs to see other people, SMH. All this to say, from one internet stranger to another, I'm proud of you. And I'll carry your story with me when I need the courage to move on. Comment 3. Man, I really identified with your post. My ex-wife blindsided me as well, literally 3 weeks before that. She's been unhappy a long time, maybe the whole time, and lying and finally finding out she'd been having an emotional affair. She was rarely sympathetic if I was sick or hurt, often would accuse me of being dramatic. I got a cold or flu maybe once, twice a year, nothing chronic. One time when moving a couch, she dropped it on my leg. I yelled in pain and she was angry at me for yelling. I had hurt her feelings for yelling at her to pick up her side. I look back and think, what a horrible set of moves. At this point I don't know what I'd do if I had a partner who offered to take care of me when sick. I hope to find out one day. Comment 4. I love this story. About 2 years ago, 34 female, got really sick. It started with a cough, then unexplainably it turned into loss of appetite, random low fevers, chest pains. Interestingly, now that I think back on it, it sounds a lot like COVID, but this was 2018. I kept going back to the doctors who told me I probably had the flu, except that year was a pretty bad year for the flu and they ran out of tests, or maybe the flu plus a stomach bug. Or maybe it was just stress from having a job and 2 little kids, sure. In any case, for the first time in my life I was actually kind of scared because no one could tell me what was wrong with me, but I was having heart palpitations and rapidly losing weight. During that time period my ex-husband basically ignored me. He complained that he had to take our daughter to ballet. He complained that he had to take the kids to school. He told me it was in my head, that I needed to force myself to eat and that magically I'd be all better. He could not have been less supportive. Meanwhile, his own mother was texting me every day with heart emojis, telling me she was thinking about me, asking me if I went to the doctor, if they knew what was wrong. My best friend offered to go to the doctor with me to advocate for me to get answers. My mom called every day, clearly worried. One Saturday morning, while my husband was taking the kids to ballet, my palpitations got so bad that I actually thought I was having a heart attack. And was about to call 911 when I remembered that a neighbor on my floor was an urgent care doctor. I knocked on her door and told her I thought I was having a heart attack, but how. I was only 34, but I was really sick, and she took me inside and took my pulse, oxygen, etc. She told me the palpitations were probably from a lack of sodium from not eating anything for 3 weeks and had me put salt crystals under my tongue. She sat with me and let me talk through all of my symptoms and anxiety. I stayed in her apartment for 5 hours because I realized that even though I had literally never spoken to this woman before, I finally felt safe. She gave me ice cream and chicken nuggets that she made for her kids, and that was really the turnaround point for me in my illness. It really made an impact on me how little my own husband cared for me during that time. I don't have the same story you do. I left him, he didn't have an affair, etc. But I do believe, now that I am with a new partner, that no partner should make you feel bad for being sick, or scared, or hurt. That is the one person who should always make you feel safe. Yesterday I had to drive somewhere, and it started snowing pretty hard while I was out. When I got home, my new partner said, "I was so worried about you, just picturing you being scared in the car because of the snow. And I couldn't help you. You will find your person, Gusta, I promise." Comment 5. Hello, Gusta. You deserve better than this. He was lucky to have you. He will never change. This scar is in your heart too. I hope you heal and find love again soon. Smile because you are beautiful inside and out. Thank you so very much for listening. Please check out my other videos and like and subscribe.